once you have your tower all built, or as you're building it, you want to put on something called a gusset. And you can see that on all of my corners, or all my major joints, I just have a little piece of cardboard that I've glued over top of the joint. And this is called a gusset. And a gusset is simply a way to lock two or more joints together so they don't pull apart. So in the event we have an earthquake in Alaska or anywhere else, the joint won't pull apart and it'll help keep things in place. It's one of the building codes that you have in Alaska, and if you look up in the attic of a building into the trusses, you will see a lot of gussets on. Sometimes they're with wood that it's all nailed, or sometimes it's metal, but you need something that is going to keep your joints in your roof or your structure from pulling apart. Okay, so once you have your tower standing on the two sides, 1 and 2, and you have your floor plates in, and they're glued down. I usually start at the bottom one and work my way from bottom to the top. It's just easier than closing it in on the top and not being able to move it apart if you need to squeeze them in. And simply just put some tape around to hold it, and you can get those two sides locked into place. When you come back, it'll actually be really strong sideways this way when it dries. This way it'll probably flex a little bit because you won't have had the side 3 and side 4 in yet, but it's getting there. So once you have those in place and it's dried, you can now start to put in side 3 and side 4. And it's the exact same thing if you're trying to make it symmetrical all the way around. What you want to start with is putting in the horizontal pieces that fit in between these two long vertical pieces, just like you did on this side, and this is going to help strengthen it up. So I put them in between, putting a dab of glue on each side, and also get some glue on that surface there that goes to the plate, and you can put a little tape there to hold it down so that it becomes a lot stronger when you have it done. It's helpful to maybe let it dry so that it can the glue and the wood can kind of shrink and get it nice and tight before you start doing the diagonals. But you could go ahead and do the diagonals if you wanted to as well. Sometimes the best way to do it is have some masking tape that you can pull things tight, or stick the horizontal pieces onto a piece of tape and then just pull it in and pull it down nice and tight, and to let it dry. And then you can take off all the tape at some other point. Get your joints nice and tight again in here, and then again you could put some gussets. Sometimes it's a little hard if things aren't flush to get gussets on, but try to see if you can get some gussets on your major joints so that it doesn't break at those joints. And then when you're finished, you want to basically laminate all the wood on inside and out, and getting that glued to laminate and soak into the wood, so you have a combination of 2 layers of 2 materials. So you're laminating, you're putting glue and you're putting wood. The balsa is really a porous material, so it'll soak in the glue and it'll stiffen it up and become nice and sturdy. And then you can also do that with your gussets as well. So once this is all done and it's drying, it should be nice and sturdy in any direction that you want to build your tower. And then basically the next step is I want to put a floor plate on this. Okay, this would be similar to having something bolt down to this would be my earth. This is the basement or the floor of my tower, and I want to have this bolted down onto our Earquake machine so that we can bolt it down and it won't go. So the trick to this is there's going to be a template that you can use, and this matches up with, there's some holes here that a bolt has to go in to lock down the plate. And you want to make sure that you have at least 3 of the 4 holes appearing. It's nice to have all 4 holes appearing so that we can turn some of these little black bolts in and thread them in, and holds the tower in place. So when you're going to cut, you can simply take this and take a blank one here that matches, and make sure that you have it all nice and flush around, and draw your circles and go over to the drill press and drill out your holes. Then come over and check it before you do it, in case maybe you didn't drill correctly, making sure that your holes line up so that there's no problems later, because it's going to be very difficult to try to re-drill holes when you have the tower on. And then the final step, you're going to test the tower once it's all laminated, all dried, and you're going to be able to put these bolts down. And you got to figure, when you're putting this piece on, which direction do you think you want the tower to absorb most of the shock? Because it's going to be going left to right as it's shaking. And so if you think side 1 and 2 are stronger, that's going to be facing outward so that it can go this direction. If you think it was going to be side 3 and 4, then you'd probably want to turn this plate and turn it 90 degrees so it would be going this direction. Okay? And then you would be good to have your tower on and you bolt all 4 down, and then you'd start testing and seeing the results of how many frequency or how many cycles per second it is able to absorb when we start putting weights on it.